Okay.
All right. So, welcome to your co-hosts welcome you, Rhianna and Doug. I am Doug, and that's Rhianna.
Hi.
And we're both in Jacksonville, but Jacksonville is actually the biggest city land-wise in America. And I'm way out on the west side. I'm out in the woods. He's right in well, you're up north now, right?
I'm North, yes.
So we're probably at least 35, 40 minutes away from each other.
It's a good 47 minutes. I remember counting all the way
Woo!
to your house that one time. I was like, Lord,
Oh my gosh.
it's like I'm going to a whole nother state.
I know. It really does feel that way sometimes. But at least it doesn't snow here. So that's all I care about. That's
Absolutely.
why I'm here. All right, guys. Well, we're gonna make some bread tonight. It's my intention that you'll learn a little bit about bread making so that you feel comfortable and the stuff that I just sent out, hopefully you're on my project broadcast. And I sent you the files. I forgot that some people may not be. Does anybody not have the recipe with them? Do I need to?
I couldn't print it. I was wondering if I went to the library and it wouldn't print, so I don't know. But I can have it on my phone.
Okay.
Oops.
Everybody else good? We don't need to find a way to put it in the chat because I could if we had to. Wait a second. Okay, good. That's awesome. So it's a pretty simple recipe. This is a bread recipe that's designed to be super easy, and it's designed so that you don't have to worry about things like scales and too much technical details. So if you get into the bread world, if this launches you into the rabbit hole of sourdough, um, you'll see that it can get very complicated. But it's good to know that it doesn't have to be complicated. In fact, I'm going to predict that Rhianna and I are probably going to end up arguing a little bit. Not arguing, but we might have different methods later on in this as we talk about what we do typically. And I don't want you to take that as confusion. You can write little notes if you want to, but I know that I make great bread, and I bet you Rhianna makes great bread too, and it always comes out. It always comes out. So don't worry about it. Rhianna, if you're doing the recording, if you want to do like speaker view, that might be good for your recording.
Yeah, I have it on speaker view.
Okay, cool. All right, so we're going to start off with a little bit of education. Then we're going to go through terminology of bread making because it is a little funky. And then we're going to do the recipe together, mixing our dough. And then I'll talk you through the baking process and everything about it. Sharon, I do need the Dutch oven with the bread sling. Okay, so we're going to start off just talking about why would we even do this? I mean, we're a part of the Juice Plus community. We're a community of health conscious people that are into like making simple changes over and over, one at a time, to just kind of learn the health hacks of life, so we get healthier and healthier and healthier. So, but then sourdough became popular within our community. Excuse me. Mm, I love water. So, okay, whatever. That's good. We can put them both out. So why would we even promote bread? I mean, it's bread. There's not that much nutrition in it and whatnot. Well, it all comes down to the fact that we like to make healthy choices. And while bread is certainly not a health food, this type of bread is a healthier version of bread. And most of us are eating bread of some type in our lives, so why not have a healthier version? Also, sourdough really is helpful for our gut health. I got a little throat thing going on. I'm going to cough one more time. For the video, let me mute. I'll give it a big cough. Okay. Oh gosh, Sharon's running for the Chinese cough syrup. That stuff, it looks like syrup. It's like sludge, molasses. Here it comes. I'll take it in a spoon.
Just take a swig.
Okay. Gives you a good coating. That stuff's kind of good. All right. So I'm sorry, guys. Sorry about the recording. But so this is really about gut health and the microbiome. Now, most of us by now have heard a little something about the microbiome. It's getting more and more common for even in the medical field for them to start talking about it. There's a lot of research going on with the microbiome. And it's interesting because it turns out after all the things we know, it just doesn't seem that scientific, or maybe it's more scientific, right? That there's billions and billions of these bacteria living in our gut and in our bowels. Okay. And 70, and that's really important because 70% of our immune system originates from our gut and our gut health. So part of being healthy is having a good immune system. All right. So that's a big reason to be concerned about your gut health. Another thing is serotonin, our happy hormone. 90% of our serotonin is made in our gut, and 10% is made in our brain. So it's really important that we have a good gut. Okay. And so as we eat food, we can use foods and we can also use probiotics and things like that to build it up. But to do it naturally, we can do it using foods. Okay. And it's really good to have that. And that's where our nutrient absorption happens and all that. So the real focus of this, the official title of this whole workshop is called Love Your Gut Sourdough Workshop. Okay. So that's why we do it. It's not because sourdough is the healthiest food in the world, but it's a healthier food and it's going to help our microbiome and our gut. But there's more important ways to improve our gut. The best way we can do it is the easiest and the most common sense is just through fruits and vegetables, eating more and more fruits and vegetables. So eating the rainbow, eating lots of plants, all these nutrients, they make up our digestive system and they make it all work better. Plants also decrease our inflammation, and some plants are anti-cancer, and they feed that good bacteria in the gut. All right. So there is one thing that happens that we do have to do sometimes, unfortunately, that hurts the bacteria terribly in our gut, and that is when you have an antibiotic. So whenever you have an antibiotic, you got to really start building up your gut health again. So the number one way to do it is through fruits and vegetables. The second best way to do it is through fiber-rich foods. Okay, fiber is awesome. Fiber is like a broom, comes in and kind of sweeps you out and cleans out your gut and helps with the good bacteria. And believe it or not, once again, the biggest source of fiber-rich foods is going to be plants. Okay, so you're getting the picture here, right? More and more plants. And how many should we have? 7 to 13 servings a day. Okay. And if you're an athlete or a big man or or have some sort of chronic illness, then you need even more. Okay. So I'm going to turn it over to Rhianna for a second to talk a little bit about some of the ways that we have some health hacks that can help us to get healthier, other than just eating about this many fruits and vegetables a day, which is pretty much impossible. So Rhianna, take it away.
Thank you, Doug. Well, welcome everyone. I'm so excited that you could be here with us today because if you would have told me 10, 12, 15 years ago that I would be standing here in my kitchen talking about gut health, I probably would have laughed and just, called you a liar because for most of my life, I didn't have a healthy gut. I pretty much destroyed my my gut because I was a total sugar addict. Um, any sugar addicts in the house? Put a one in the comments if you have struggled with eating way too much sugar in your lifetime. I always say little Debbie was my ride or die, and I was doing things, crazy things, like hoarding Oreos in my nightstand. And I mean, just nuts. I had a problem. Okay. I had a problem. So I struggled to eat these things that Doug is telling us about that's so good for our gut. I struggled to eat enough fruits and veggies and really had no idea how much damage that I was doing inside of my body. So I dealt with chronic low energy gut issues that left me with painful digestion and acne-ridden skin. And I would say the worst part, especially after I started having kids, was the mom guilt. Um, I'm a special needs mom. Some of you know that. My friend Angie, who's on, we both have children with a neurological disorder called Rett syndrome. And I also have two other boys that I homeschool. And when my energy was low, I could not show up the way that I wanted to show up as a caregiver, as a mom, as a homeschooling teacher. And I didn't like that. I didn't like that. So, I mean, I'd push through um, but I didn't like how I felt, and I needed a change. And I would say I was pretty desperate for a change about 12 years ago. But I needed something simple because life was already kind of tough and overwhelming, right? And so that's when, thank the Lord, He brought into my life whole food nutrition. And that's what all of Doug and I were both, and some of you others on this call, you guys are familiar with these fun, colorful cap bottles, right? This is the vine ripened fruits, veggies, and berries, and then we've got the omegas now that we have been able to incorporate into our lives. It's a very, very simple way to get a lot of that variety that Doug was talking about into our bodies every day. And over time, my gut transformed. My digestion improved, my energy skyrocketed, my skin cleared up. Instead of getting it worse, with age, instead of it getting worse, it actually improved. And here I am 2 years away from 50, if you can believe it, feeling better than I ever did in my 30s. So here's what I love. Just like how sourdough, this is a way that we can help, a natural way to bring gut loving benefits into our home. This whole blend of fruits, veggies, and berries, and then we also have some amazing macro nutrition with our whole food nutrition drinks, with our complete and our perform, that we can get in every day to do something great for our body every single day. And then it's not just my gut that's healthier, but my immune system, okay, heart health. Now, I say these two things, but think about our immune system in the world that we live in now. We live in a post, you know, pandemic world. And we know now how important it is to have an immune system, because the reality is we don't ever know really what's around the corner in this world. Heart health, right? When you have people that are dying at the highest rate from heart disease, this is a big deal. But also my skin, my hair, my nails, all of those have benefited as well. So I always like to show this because people visions, um, images are powerful. So these are all the fruits and veggies and berries that we get in on a daily basis to really help improve and power up our gut, for healthy digestion, and like even Doug was saying, hormonal production and all of that stuff. Um, and so I know many of you, I'm not going to take much longer, but I know many of you have maybe heard that we came out with a new product, and that's our new superfood product. So what we did is we took the fruit, veggies, and berries and put it all in one little pack. And so we're really excited about even things being even easier for us to be able to get in a whole lot of nutrition in just, a fun drink, and you can drink your health on the go. So I know many of you might have questions about how to get your hands on some of that. So be sure to talk with the person who invited you to the workshop. But for now, let's go back to Doug and dive into more gut loving info.
Great. Thank you, Rhianna. Yes. And I'll tell you what, I am all about that superfood powder. I mean, I love it. I just love it. It's so good. It tastes good, and it's so much more enjoyable. We keep our Juice Plus, these capsules. It's going to take a while for these capsules to go, because this bottle of the superfood is going quicker, because that's all I'm drinking. And yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. We've been doing Juice Plus for 25 years. We use the shake every single morning, and it is just amazing. All right, so that's the fruits and vegetables. There's still one more area that you can improve your microbiome with, and that is fermented foods. Okay. If you can put in the chat, list me some fermented foods you guys might know about. Yes, kimchi. I gotta get into kimchi. I haven't really had a lot of kimchi. I'm always afraid to buy it at the grocery store for some reason. But then I had this one dish somewhere. I think it was a salad that had kimchi on it, and I liked it. So I need to get it. It's not too like exotic, right? Is it? No, it's not. It's because I love sauerkraut. I take onions and I put them on the mandolin and I put them in vinegar with a little bit of sugar and I make pickled onions, and I do the same thing with cabbage, and I use that in my stuff. But kimchi is a little spicy. That's great. Is it kefir or kefir? I can never get it right. What is it? Sharon laughed at me. Either
Keep,
I kefir.
yeah.
Yeah. That's another one's kombucha, kimchi, sauerkraut, miso. I've been using a lot of miso when I do stir fries and whatnot. And I find that to be really great. It adds like a real hearty texture. I eat a vegetarian diet, so it's nice to get some of that heartiness of flavors, complex flavors in there. And well, there's bone broth and yogurt. Be careful when you eat. If you're a yogurt lover, be careful of yogurts because a lot of those yogurts have a lot of sugars. They might not even have like real yogurt cultures in there. So look at the labels and go for something that's very pure and has just a few things on the ingredient list. And that brings us to the last one, which is sourdough, which is awesome because that's what we're making. And this sourdough we're going to make tonight, it's special because it's real sourdough. Okay. I don't know where you got your mother from, but my mother or starter is goes back to San Francisco, the 1950s or so. I ordered it from a bakery there, and the cool thing about sourdough is that there's only a few ingredients. There's water, there's flour, and then there's some salt, and then there's the mother or the starter, which is just water and flour. So it's really just three ingredients in the whole thing. The thing is, though, you have those natural bacteria, the lactobacillus, which gives it that sour flavor that is going to be good for your gut. And that acts as the yeast. And that's what's going to cause that reaction where the dough is going to rise and puff up. And it aids in our digestion. It's higher in fiber and protein than other breads. It's easier to digest. And it's lower in sugar because of the fermentation process is eating some of that gluten and some of those carbohydrates. So we find that even some diabetics can tolerate it better than other forms of bread, and even gluten intolerant people. Of course, they got to be careful, but the people that are gluten intolerant, they know what to do. But if they're going to try it, they might find that this even works for them. And one thing I want to say before we get going is that check your breads. Like even if you go to like a grocery store, we have a grocery store called Publix in Florida. It's awesome, and they have like the green wise section that's healthier, right? Or if you go to Whole Foods or Publix or anywhere that has like a sourdough, read the label on that. Just like any other label, you're going to find that the sourdoughs they fake it. They put regular yeast in there, and then they add sour flavoring sometimes. So you still oftentimes have a long list of ingredients. Okay. So we're going to teach you how to do it to
I think Aldi has a pretty good
all
solid,
these.
yes, for
Man,
loaf of salt of sourdough bread. It just says flour, water, salt.
really?
Hmm.
This Aldi, I got to start going there.
I love
I
it.
went there a few years ago. I was a little shocked. I took my son. We were doing the Dave Ramsey thing, and we're trying to be real responsible. So we go to Aldi, and my son says, "Dad, I'm never going back there. This is like the dollar store of
Oh
supermarkets."
no. I mean, okay. So when I'm an '80s kid, all the '80s,
Uh-huh.
like know that if you would not be caught dead in Aldi back in the day. You would not be
Oh,
caught
really?
dead, yeah. But it has had the whole brand has had a really fabulous like face,
Yeah.
and it's really really good now. So now because back in the day they would just take damaged groceries,
Yeah. See, it was the dollar store. It was the dollar store.
but now it's different.
I know. I
So
got to check it out because everybody's raving about it. And yeah. All
yeah.
right. So let's move into some terminology next. I'm going to be on this page, which I think is one of the ones that was attached with my recipe, the second page of the recipe. And we're going to do some terminology real quick. And it's important because sourdough can get confusing because we're talking about, first of all, everybody's always talking about a mother. I mean, it's a little weird. I mean, that's one of the rules of life. And when I was in school, if you talked about somebody's mother, you were getting in a fight. You know what I'm saying? So we're always talking about the mother this, the mother that, and then we're talking about the starter. And it's like, what the heck is all this stuff? Well, the mother is just like this version of this dough, not dough, but it's like a pancake batter almost of water and flour that has those bacteria growing in it that you're going to save over time. This one, like I said, goes back to San Francisco. And some of you may have ordered some starter from me, and I apologize for the ones that didn't make it on time. But even if you dehydrate it, it's still the same, fundamentally the same thing. Then you reconstitute it, and it works again. That's the mother. And the mother, you keep it alive. You have to keep these things going over time, and you can share it with friends. It multiplies. It's a great thing. But then we have something called the start. The part of the mother dough used to actually make a loaf of bread is called a start or a starter. And that's poured off from the mother. So if I take the mother and I pour it into here and then make bread with this part, this is a start. Okay, so the mother and the start are the same thing. Okay, so let's get that one right. The next term on the sheet is feeding. So we have this mother or starter that it's necessary that we're going to feed it. So the typical feeding is to feed it with a quarter cup of flour and a quarter cup of water. Okay, it's approximate. To be honest with you, my wife and I, we if this is the mother and it's out on the counter and we need to feed it, we might put a quarter cup in here. It depends. If we're just kind of keeping her alive, we're just going to do a quarter cup in this big jar. But if we're making bread with it and it's in a start, we're going to do a quarter cup also. But then we're just going to put a little bit of water in it. We just put her under the faucet like this, real quick. If you measure it a quarter cup, it's a little bit too soupy for me. You want it to be like the consistency of like thick pancake batter. I'll let you see how it pours out. Well, maybe I'll let you see it like this. See it in there? Oh, it almost went on my laptop. But it's thick. It's very thick. Okay, so you want to keep it nice and thick like that. And over 3 or 4 hours, if I were to pour a quarter cup of that in here, and if I was going to make a start, which is what I did this morning, here's the start, and here is the mother. I poured the start into this, and then I fed it with a quarter cup of flour, and then I put approximately a quarter cup of water. I mixed it up, and then I just put it out onto the counter. And over 3 or 4 hours, or maybe a few more, it rises up and it doubles in size. And you'll see all kinds of bubbles puffing up in there. This one I felt like was not quite ready. It depends on the temperature of your house. And I think we're running it a little cold in here today. So I'm going to use this one that I actually fed this one more like 6 or 7 hours ago, but I fed it with a lot. So it's nice and strong. It's bubbled up a lot. It's looking good. The starter is the most important part of your bread. Okay. You can mess up a lot of stuff after the starter, but as long as you got a good starter, you're going to have something good to work with. So that's what you're going to work on over time, but don't get stressed out no matter what. Don't get stressed. It's going to be okay. All right. Next terminology is discard. So as you can imagine, I have this ginormous jar. It's filled up to here right now. And I already have this going here. And then in the refrigerator, I have another mother that's about this full. So eventually, as you're feeding these things, it's like you have too much. Because if I feed this again, it's going to start overflowing. So discard is literally, this is my garbage. I'm just pouring it in the garbage, guys. That is discard. Discard is the extra that you pour off because you have too much. Now, if you're in the Simply Sourdough Facebook group, which if you're not in there, you could be in there after this. You just have to get put in there by one of us. You'll see there's recipes and all kinds of stuff for discard. People make pizza doughs and crackers and all kinds of stuff. I don't. I have enough. I look, I'm not exactly a thin guy, so I have enough carbohydrates in my life. I don't need to find new ways to consume flour. Okay. So oh, I'm always remembering it's healthier bread, but it's not a health food. Okay. So I'm not having extra, but that's up to you. Some people love doing that, and that's great. Okay. The next term is I have it on my sheet as tug and tuck. And this is where we use some different terms. I think Rhianna calls it the envelope fold.
Hmm. Yes.
Some people call it stretch and fold.
Well, stretch and fold is different, but
Nope. There we go. We're going to try not to fight about this, but so whenever I say tuck and tuck, I think it's the same as stretch and fold.
okay.
The envelope fold is where you put your mix-ins, right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I got you now. I got you.
We're on the same.
Okay. Right. We're there. We're there now. So tugging and tucking or stretching and folding is when you take this loaf or this bread ball or this dough ball and you literally stretch it and then fold it back onto itself. Then you turn it a little bit and you stretch it and fold it back on itself. Then you turn it and you go all the way around the whole dough ball. And you're just stretching out those gluten strands and you're tucking it back on itself. If you wanted to stretch it out really long and have fun with it, you could do that. And we'll play with this at the end when we already have our bread balls and stuff. You can also fold it over your fingers, kind of as you form it back into a ball. If you watch YouTube, you'll see like the pro bread people. They're always like going like this and like tucking it under itself and all this stuff. It's all just to stretch out those strands nice and long. Excuse me. Create air holes and just develop your dough even further.
And then,
Okay.
and I'll just add because a lot of people, if you've made bread before, you're used to doing a lot of kneading, but sourdough does not need nor, like a lot of kneading. The stretching is what it likes. And then like Doug said,
There you go.
it stretches out those the what was the word? I just lost the word all of a sudden. He said it stretches out
The strands, the
yeah,
gluten strands,
yes, the gluten strands, and then
and the
also
air
it
holes.
helps
Yeah.
create those air bubbles. And so,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the reason if you're wondering why are we stretching, it's because we don't do kneading with sourdough. So,
Right. Oh, exactly. Yeah. Um, so you'll do this about 4 to 6 times over a 4 to 6 hour period, and that can look a little differently. Um, and you don't have to like plan your life around this. Like we're making it tonight, but I'm playing drums at church tomorrow, so I'm going to do some stretch and folds tonight. Tomorrow, I'm going to be busy. So I'm just going to let it sit in the fridge and just keep doing its thing. You have to just decide whether you're going to sit it on the counter or in the fridge. Depends how long you want to take before you bake it. We'll talk about that stuff later. The next thing is bulk fermentation. That's after all these stretch and folds. You give it like a several hours to just double in size and really puff up nice and big. And then we have shaping, which before shaping would be the letter fold time that Rhianna was talking about, where you can do mix-ins, where if you wanted to put some herbs or nuts, or if you want to make it a little less healthy but a little more awesome, you might do like jalapeno cheddar and things like that. I usually just go straight up sourdough because we love it so much, and we just leave it there. And then this is where we also differ, Rhianna, is that I do a final rise after that shaping. I do like 2 or 3 hours to let it puff up, and then I bake it. But you go quicker into the bake,
you
which
can,
is nice.
yeah, I sometimes will like put the shower cap on her and put her in the fridge so she can cold proof for a day or so
Yeah.
because I know that increases the sour flavor in
Hmm.
bread as well. Increases the amount of
The
probiotic,
bacteria.
good bacteria
Yeah.
that's growing in there as well. But the other option is once you've done that final shaping, you can preheat your oven, throw her in the oven, get ready to cook. So you really do have some options of what you want
Yeah.
to do.
And so if you love a sour, if you didn't catch what Rihanna said, if you want your sourdough to be more sour, you can just on that last step, just put it in the fridge for like a day or even 2 days,
Mhm.
and then take it out and bake it, and it'll have a more sour flavor. It's pretty cool. And when you do it really quick, like we actually do have a birthday lunch tomorrow after church. And I think we're going to try to have this done by then. I think we'll be able to work that out. Um, it's going to taste almost like just white bread, not totally like white bread, but it gets pretty non-sour if you just do a 12-hour version or so of this, which is the shortest version you'll ever do. It's about 12 hours. Okay. So let's get into mixing.
Doug, can I ask a
And
quick question, or would you all
yeah,
prefer to wait? Oh, okay.
go ahead.
Rhianna, you mentioned put a shower cap on it. Is that what Doug has with the empty ring on top of the maybe coffee filter? Or is that something different?
No,
He's talking about this, like with these Bannatynes, when you buy these, it comes with a little stretchy
Oh, it
thing.
literally is a shower cap.
I actually
Yeah.
literally have a shower cap,
And she does a shower cap.
Okay.
I put it over. I'll show you. I put it over. If I'm not ready to bake, I put it over my bowl
Get a
like
tea
this
towel, please.
and put it
Cool.
in the fridge because it basically kind of helps to stop the actual like quick bulk or the quick
Yeah.
fermentation. And you can put it in the fridge for up to 48 hours like this. And then that's what part of because it's kind of keeping the air out.
Okay. So she's not breathing. The bread is not.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
So yeah, I actually, and when I do my live workshops, I stick one of these in all of my participants' bags. It's one of the things they get this. They get a tea towel, but this has been really handy to have because I like.
That's cool.
Sometimes I'll cook 2 loaves at one time because I'll make 2 loaves at one time because I want one that's ready to bake, and then I want one that's ready to bake in a few days because I have a husband who loves sourdough and 2 boys who love sourdough.
Mm-hmm.
Can't keep a loaf around very long, so it's nice to have a backup.
Yeah.
Go.
Okay, nice. Thanks.
And that tea towel comes in handy. I mean, I'll sometimes just take the tea towel and put it over and moist and make it wet and wring it out. And then if you just put the tea towel over that dough and put it into the and just keep it, nice and puffed up and put that into the fridge, it's still gonna work. But you do have the danger of the dough sticking to the tea towel, which could be disastrous. So that's a great idea to have a shower. She uses a shower cap, Sharon. Pretty cool. All right. So let's get to mixing. We're going to start off now I'm on the sourdough bread recipe. It looks like this, simple sourdough loaf. And I will literally read the instructions as we go because I want to make sure that you know exactly what's going on and you can follow this. We're going to start off with our starter. Okay, so I have a big bottle. I'm not going to measure mine. The recipe says a quarter cup of mother or starter. Oh no, I'm going to do the whole recipe. This starts back before we even did the starter. So you guys, this is the actual way you make bread, okay? First, we create the start. We pour a quarter cup of the mother into a pint jar to create the start. Feed both the start and the mother with a quarter cup of flour and a quarter cup of water. Let the starter rise for 3 or 4 hours or until risen and bubbly. It'll almost double in size, and you'll see bubbles all up in it. Then we're gonna mix the ingredients. We're gonna combine. This is where we start now. Combine water, starter, flour, and salt in a bowl. I'm gonna start, and it says we're gonna use a third cup of active start. It used to be a quarter cup, but I like a little bit more. I'm noticing lately, so I'm just guessing a third cup. I'm pouring it into my bowl right now.
Now, if you guys like, some of you are type A like me, and some of you are a musician like Doug, who just, like eyeballs it and stuff. So I actually like to use a scale. So I went to Amazon and I got a scale for pretty inexpensive, and I just go with 100 grams. Whatever is 100 grams on the scale is what goes into my bread. And like Doug has already said, he makes good bread. I have good bread. It just you will learn what works best for you. So this is one of the things we love about the sourdough process is you can make it work for whatever works best for you and your family and your lifestyle.
I have a scale too, but I don't use it on this part. I use it when I'm making bagels because I want to split it into 10 even dough balls and make 10 bagels out of this recipe. This recipe also splits in half and makes 2 pizzas perfectly on a pizza stone. All right. So first we have our start, and then I go with the water, and we are going to go with 1.5 cups of water. I do measure this, Rhianna. Don't worry. Although we were in Italy, they would not be happy with us measuring our water.
Correct. They probably wouldn't be happy with us measuring much at all. I have an Italian husband, and my mother-in-law,
Oh yeah.
when she comes over, she definitely does not use measuring. It's, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and you're good.
Yeah.
So,
And then you will hear some people say they don't do their salt now, but I just do it all right in the beginning. We're keeping it simple. And I understand the logic and the science of that. I mean, salt is not an environment that these bacteria are very happy about. So what some people will do is save the salt until after their first hour or two, and then they start salting the bread. But I've baked bread forgetting the salt once, and it's not even edible.
yeah,
So I don't even play around.
yeah.
So one perfectly level tablespoon, not a teaspoon, putting it into the liquids, and then I just mix it up to where it's looks like almond milk or something.
Looks like kosher salt, Doug.
Doesn't matter. You can
Yeah,
Okay.
kosher
doesn't.
or fine. Like I've sea salt. I've used sea salt. I've used table salt.
Okay.
Yeah, I got fine sea salt. And it doesn't have to be perfectly blended.
What do we use with? What do we do with the rest of the stuff in our pint jar? Is that the discard?
So
That's your mother now.
yep, that's your mother. So
Unless,
you want to feed
yeah.
her. I usually will feed her after I've poured off, or you scum it. I'll feed her the quarter cup of water, quarter cup of flour, and you can then use her again within the next day or so, or you can put the, actual cap on her and tighten it and put it in the fridge if you don't think you're going to bake again for the next,
Can you ever put that one back in your big mother that you have?
Yeah,
in the
if
corner?
you wanted to.
You could. Okay.
Yeah, so if that was your starter, but it got to be too much,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I would discard it personally, but if you wanted to save it, and sometimes, if you do events or anything and have people coming over, I mean, when you have 10 people coming over, there's a lot of mothers you got to make, You got to start days before. Okay, so next we go with our flour. We're going to do 4 cups of flour. You don't have to pack them in. And I've tried sifting. It didn't seem to make a difference in my bread, so I don't sift anymore. See Rhianna shaking her head, saying, "Sifting? What are you talking about sifting?"
me and my
One,
so I don't even sift. So that's yeah.
I like to think that I'm pretty organized and detail oriented, but working with Rhianna on this event, she's kind of next level.
Oh,
I don't know if she's ever going to want to work with me on an event again.
I like it. I like it a lot. It's been
All right.
I've learned a lot from you, Doug. So
All right. So I got my flour mixed in with my milky salt water starter. And start with a spoon. And as you mix this, it's going to seem like you need to add, and if you're a baker, I know you want to reach for the water and add water to this, but don't. It's going to be great. It's going to make kind of a shaggy dough. I like to get it going with the spoon and then eventually move to the hand. And we are going to knead it a little bit here. I'm curious what your thoughts are on. I mean, I feel like this is the kneading process here. I mean, I wonder, I don't know if anybody ever told me to, because the original instructions I learned from Rhianna said that we're going to start tugging and tucking like right now. That's how we're going to mix it. But I do kind of a kneading right now. And I don't know if that's helpful. Thought it was until I heard you say that today.
great
What do you
bread.
do?
I've had your bread. You make great bread. So if it works for you,
Yeah, that's true.
you're not going to hear anything from me about it. I'm not, I tend to once I have it all together, I will wet my tea towel and let
Hmm.
it sit for 30 minutes. And then I do
Yes.
my
Oh
my
yeah.
stretch and fold after it's just, sat, and then
Yeah.
those gluten start to break down and stuff in the bread.
Now I'm gonna leave the bowl right now only because I want you guys to see a little better. I like working on one of these baker's mats because I know my counters are clean in the kitchen, but it's hard to see what's on the counter. It weirds me out a little bit. But so yes, Rihanna is correct. I would do the same thing. Like right about now, I would literally just stop because this dough, you see how it looks kind of like cauliflower or a brain or something? That's not the way it looks when you see all those beautiful dough balls at the pizza parlor, right? But your dough is going to look like that. It just needs a little bit of time to fully hydrate the flour and really mix in. So what I do here now, I know some of you are going to be doing some workshops also. So let me give you something I notice happens quite often. People will come to your house and they'll do this, and some people are over there. You can tell who's done like made pasta or bread before because they'll have their whole. They'll be like this. They'll be one-handed, just bam, bam, using their body weight as hard as they can. And then you look over at the next person and they're like this. And it's like they're just gently massaging. Like, have you ever gone in? I went to Massage Envy once, and you ever pay like top dollar for a massage, and like the masseuse is just like barely touching you? I'm like, come on, man, I want to get hurt here. The dough needs to be hurt. You need to get in there, make sure you really get it going. Now, I notice Rihanna's walking around and stuff, so maybe either I don't know if she's making bread tonight. I think she is.
Yeah.
But how far do you go? Would you just leave this for now and just stretch and fold in 30 minutes?
Yeah, I just leave it for 30 minutes. And then the way that I do it, I'm not sure exactly what your instructions say, that sent to everybody, but the way that I do it is I'll let it sit, do a stretch and fold, and then did you actually show what a stretch and fold looks like, or?
Not yet. I will in a minute.
Okay. And I'll do 4 sets of stretch and folds with a half hour in between. And for me, because this is what works best for my lifestyle. A lot of times I'll start a loaf of bread around this time at night, around 7 o'clock. I'll start my dough, and then around 7:30, I let it sit, and then do my first stretch and fold around a half hour later at 8 o'clock, and then another one at 8:30, another one at 9, another one at 9:30, and then I do my bulk fermentation and let it sit overnight, so I don't have to
Holy cow! And you can bake in the morning.
and then I can bake it do my envelope fold, bake in the morning, or stick the shower cap on her and put her in the fridge. It's just
My
work.
goodness, I don't know who's teaching who tonight because this could change my life. That's even simpler than the way I do it. So that's great. That's great. But okay, let's check in on how we're doing because this question will come up quite a bit with people. Is how much water how wet should this dough be? Now, if you're measuring it and if you get into all those details, I'll admit you can control that a lot more by doing 100 grams of water. And I think it's like 500 or 400 grams water, 400 grams flour. That's what they call 1-1 or something. But, or 100% hydration. You don't need to get into all that, but this shouldn't be tacky to the touch, but your hands shouldn't be like, it shouldn't be sticking to your fingers. Like I can touch this and the dough isn't really coming off onto my fingers. This is really on the borderline. This is about as wet as I get it because I do have like some residue on my hands right now. Anybody want to need a dough check? I can zoom in on your camera if you want to show us if you're not sure. Oh, Angie's coming in hot. Here we go. Hold on. I'm gonna zoom in. Zoom.
Say something, Angie, so we can.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
I think it's looking good.
good. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That looks great.
Bless you, Ryan. Bless you. Is that Ryan or Aiden?
It's Ada.
Oh, that's Aiden. I was gonna say. I was like, oh, I know that I heard a sneeze. It sounded like a manly sneeze, but then I'm like, oh, I forgot. She's actually tuned in her house now. So
That's right.
This might seem weird, but I think I have way more fun on a Zoom sourdough workshop than live. I don't know why. That how are we doing over there? Tamitha, is it? Let me spotlight you. It looks a little sticky. It maybe just needs to be worked a little bit more.
It's a
Is
little
this,
sticky, but I usually
but
wait a little bit longer.
it's
Oh,
not coming off on your hands.
yeah,
Nope.
it's pretty good.
Okay,
So,
that
not
looks
much.
good.
Just
Excellent. Anybody else want to check in? Uh-oh, we got some extra flour going on in Lee.
Yeah, we decided
Dan-
that ours was sticky
Danger
a little
alert.
bit.
It was?
Hi,
Let's see what it
guys.
looks like.
This is my friend Laura.
I
Hi,
love
Laura.
So much fun.
Oh yeah, that looks pretty soft. Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah.
A little flour ain't gonna hurt you there.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're holding it and it's dripping down, that's gonna be a little more flour in there to adjust it.
Yeah, that's
The
what
thing is, when you get to the stretch and folds or tug and tucks, however you want to call it, it's gonna be difficult to do that if it's really hard dough. But it's still gonna work. It's still gonna be okay.
it's gonna be
Still gonna
perfect.
be okay.
That 30 sitting for 30 minutes does help it to soften up
Yeah.
a bit. So
So let's imagine now we're going to keep going on our directions. So after about 30 minutes,
Down here.
we would right now, if you were doing this alone, you would just take this, put it in your bowl, then you wet your tea towel. I'm wetting it under the sink right here. So you can almost see it on my screen. And then I'm going to wring it out. And now I can cover it with my tea towel. And that'll prevent it from getting like really like crunchy on the top. We don't want it to dry out like that. So it'll keep it moist. And then I would just let it sit for 30 minutes and let that dough rest and let it fully hydrate the flour. So let's pretend that we've already done that. And now we're going to move into our tug and tucks or our stretch and folds, as Rhianna calls it. I like stretch and fold. And we're going to do she said 4 sets. I'd say 5 to 6 sets over the next 4 to 6 hours. Okay. So now that still lines up with Rhianna, although hers tightens it up a little bit. Because if you do 4 over the next, let's say you do 30 minutes plus 30 minutes in between. So that's going to be 2.5 hours. So that should get us done by like 10 o'clock or so. It's going to get more stretchy and better as you go. Like right now, if I stretch this, it wants to rip like that.
yeah.
It won't rip after 30 minutes. It'll stay together. And so a tug and tuck or a stretch and fold just looks like this. If I have my dough ball, I just take the side, it rips. It won't do that later. I stretch it, then I fold it back onto itself. Then I turn it about 1/4 of the way. I stretch and I fold. I turn it, I stretch and I fold. Rhianna, do you have an exact formula of this process or anything you want to share?
Mine is let me see if I can show, but I a lot of times I'll actually try to pick it up and let it stretch like naturally, and then I'll set it in the bowl and fold over, turn my bowl around, pick it up again, let it fall and stretch. I'll kind of do like this with it. And that's typically how I do it. Sometimes I'll pick it up from the side because it'll be sticking in the bowl. So I'll pick it up from the side and then fold it over.
You almost can use this, it's sticking to the bottom of the bowl to your advantage.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it'll stick to the bottom and you can pull it up. And then you just form it back over. And I have this thing where I just love doing this, where I fold it back over my fingers like this as I form it into a ball. And like I said earlier, you'll see professional bakers do this a lot, where they kind of like do this. And what I'm doing is like tucking it under. I don't know why they do this, because it doesn't seem to work as good for me. Some people use like a spatula while they do this, but anyway, so you just form it back into a ball. And I like to just seal it all up nice in the bottom. And then you take your dough ball and you put it back into your bowl. You cover it. Then you go practice your drums for church. Then you come back and you do it again, or you go watch a TV show, or you take the dog on a walk, or you go play pickleball. And oh my gosh, what if we went to play pickleball, Sharon, and we don't get home till 10 o'clock at night? That's okay. I'll just tug and tuck it or stretch and fold it then. Okay, so I'm not going to let bread rule my life. I'm going to just do it whenever. I've even done it where it's like, okay, we do it right now. Then maybe we are supposed to play pickleball at 8 p.m. and we go and do that. And then it's 10 p.m. I only get one more tug and tuck because I'm tired. And I just throw it in the fridge and I start tugging and tucking again tomorrow for a couple hours. I mean, I feel like it's pretty forgiving as long as you have a good starter.
If you have a good starter, I mean, you can do a
Yeah.
lot. You can do a lot wrong with a good starter.
Yeah.
How many times are you guys pulling and tucking or whatever?
Within
Within
one.
Yeah.
So like if I'm going to do a tug and tuck right now, how many am I doing it? I think of it as 4 corners and then a quarter turn and then do 4 corners again. So I do like 8, but it's probably not even necessary. What do you think? Oh, well, Rhianna just does it with a stretch out, maybe.
Yeah,
So the whole point is just we just want to stretch it.
yeah. So
I
I mean,
think it's nice to do
I've
this.
done like my typical science is like I kind of showed you. I do one, fold it over, turn my bowl, fold it over, turn my bowl, fold it over, turn my bowl, stretch, fold it over, turn my bowl, and then so
That's
it's
it.
like four. It's like four stretch and folds 4 separate times over the course of like what he's saying, whatever works for you. Or I usually end up doing it like over the next 2.5 hours or whatever.
Yep.
Does that
All
answer
right. So
the question, Angie? Okay.
yeah. So that was number 4 in the instructions. Number 5 is bulk fermentation. So now we've done this. Let's say we do this all evening and it's 10 p.m. We've gone through our 4 or 5 times doing this. Next, we're going to do bulk fermentation, which means we're just going to let it rise
Proof,
for
proofing is another word for it. Proofing or
proofing.
Mhm.
Yeah, bulk fermentation or proofing. And it's really going to double up. It's going to get really big. And it depends on the temperature in your home. Now, I don't know if you've done this, Rhianna, but if it's like, oh my gosh, like I'm not going to make it because there's dinner I need it for or something, then you can do your bulk fermentation, like put the light on in the oven and put it in there. Or I have like a seedling mat for when I grow my seedlings for growing vegetables in my tower garden. I'll put it on the seedling mat, which is like 80 degrees because the house might be, it depends what time of year it is and stuff. So it can vary depending on the temperature of your house, but don't worry about it. Don't worry. Okay. So we do that bulk fermentation. You let it puff up, and then you're going to do your final shaping, or as Rhianna says, this is where she does her mix-ins with the letter envelope thing. I would imagine. Do you want to explain it? I'm thinking you just stretch it out like this. You put your mix-ins in there, and then you fold it in. You're muted.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully, but is it an echo though?
Yeah, a little bit.
Let me. Is this better?
That's better.
Okay. So can you highlight my
Yep, I got you.
okay, thank you. There we go. So that you guys can see so this is kind of one that's been proofed already.
Well, that looks good.
It's been bulk fermented. Okay, and I put a little bit of oil in my bowl so that it releases out of the bowl a lot easier. So that's why it's not sticking at all. But when I put that out, turn that out on you can see like it's a lot more pliable. Like it's gonna spread out for me pretty good. So I just try to get her spread her out real good in a rectangular or kind of like what you're saying, Doug, rectangular or a square shape. And I thought I would share with you guys this step because this is in honor of my husband and my 2 teenage boys who really like the cheddar and jalapeno loaves that I have made in the past. So I am doing this for them. Not my favorite, but they like it. So you gotta do what you gotta do. And so you see how I've got it kind of spread out. It's not perfect, but it's spread out in a rectangular shape, like so. And I have my jalapenos that are chopped up. Some of them are not
Are
quite.
those like pickled?
Nope, just the jarred, you
Oh,
know.
the jarred. Yeah, those are pickled, I think,
Okay,
originally.
that's what you call pickled.
Yeah.
And I'll just spread this
Look at
around, sprinkle it. And I'm not going to sprinkle all of them in this one, and I'll show you why here in a little bit. Okay, but I'm going to sprinkle so that they're pretty much spread out for the most part. Okay. And then again, this is not the, like Doug said, it's not the healthiest because we are using dairy here, but we don't do this one all the time. So it's all right. It's all right. 80-20, y'all. 80-20, right?
that.
So just some cheese just to kind of sprinkle around. And then this is where the envelope part comes in. You take the corners and you just fold them in. Take the corner, fold it in. Take each of your corners and you fold it in. Okay. Like nothing is beautiful and gorgeous, right? But I have all my corners folded in now. So now this is why I didn't want to use all my jalapenos the first time because now I'm gonna put some little bit of more um, here before I do the final shaping. Okay, so you can use like right now I'm using jalapenos and cheddar, but we also have done cinnamon and raisin, and we also have done you can do nuts, seeds and nuts if you like. If you're gonna do something that's super wet, you want to make sure that you kind of dry it as much. Like I put these before I chop these jalapenos, I'll let them dry in some paper towels at first before I put them in here. So get
Hmm.
rid of some of the liquid. Just especially if you're gonna cold proof it at all, sometimes it just makes the dough really wet. So if you're gonna do something like blueberries or something like that, you want to make sure that the blueberries are um, nice and dried before you put them in. Okay, or bake it right away. Don't let it be one of those that you cold proof. Same with the olives; those are going to be a little bit wet, so just dry them first. Just dry them first. Okay. Um,
Rhianna, would you ever use what is it, dried fruit? I know you said blueberries,
Yeah, so cranberries would work great. Cranberries, or like I said, I've done cinnamon and raisin before. Those
Yeah.
would work great. You can actually let that cold proof in the fridge with something like that. They're not going to make your dough super wet. So
Okay.
Well,
yeah,
and when it comes to dried fruit, like I'm just thinking as a cook, um, dried would be kind of good, but not like completely dried. Not nothing that's going to be crunchy
no.
because it's going to get more
Like
crunchy in the oven.
I think you
Yeah,
just meant like raisins, right, Karen?
yeah, like raisins. Yeah,
Yeah, raisins or cranberries,
Yes.
something like that. Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
those were great.
Or like you said, like a cranberry or something.
yeah. Cinnamon
If you like.
raisin comes out great.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, so now that I have those in there, you guys, now I'm just gonna go ahead and continue to fold and tug everything in. This is gonna end up just going, I'm gonna flip it right over like this, okay? And this, my other friend Joanne, who we've learned to make bread from, we learned from Doug, really. Joanne and I both learned from Doug, but we love this part because it's very therapeutic, we think. But this is
Mm.
when we just kind of are trying to shape and kind of make sure everything is well, combined or whatever. But you just kind of you tuck in your sides and you pull it in towards you. You tuck in your sides and you pull it in. And this is kind of helping just to shape your bread and make sure that all of those mix-ins and stuff are in, or, tucked in there well. And it doesn't matter if you're a lefty or a righty. If you want to tuck from to the right and pull it to you, fine. If you're gonna tuck to the right, do it whichever way that works best for you. Okay. And I just kind of keep doing that over and over to make sure it seems like everything is well incorporated. I don't have stuff falling out the bottom. It's not as big of a deal when you don't have stuff that you added into it, but when you added stuff into it, you kind of do this a little bit longer. Okay. And then what I would do with this, you guys see that pretty good? It's pretty well shaped. So what I would do with this,
Wow.
then I would take after this is, well shaped like this, um, I would clean out my bowl, okay? And then take some parchment paper. Okay. Put the parchment paper on top of my bowl like that and set her in like so.
Pull it back toward you a little bit. There you go.
Set her in like
Wow.
so. And then she is ready to either cold proof or bake once I've preheated my oven. Okay. Now, Doug, are you gonna go through the scoring part?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Before
Yeah.
you do that, can I ask you guys a question? Do you ever have
Yeah.
a problem with when I use the parchment paper, it always seems to get stuck in my bread. Like,
So here, that's a really good question. Who just asked that question?
Lisa.
Lisa. So you can take me off of this spotlight and put me back on.
Okay.
So the reason why that's such a great question is because parchment paper matters. If you use really cheap parchment paper, it is going to stick to your bread every time. So this is what I've learned. If I've tried to pick up just a whatever the cheapest is from the store, I've just run into issues with the cheapest. So this one that I use, this is actually the one from Aldi, and it works great. It does not stick to my bread. There's also obviously there's the Reynolds brands and things like that, that are a little bit, better, but I don't recommend just the regular brand or the cheapest brand from like I tried to use one from the Dollar Tree. Bad mistake. I couldn't even use my bread because it was just
Mm.
the whole bottom head stuff stuck to the bottom of it. So
Well, holy cow. I mean, you're like a YouTuber. You're ready for doing bread on YouTube. That was great. I learned something. And I love seeing I mean, I can't believe that you learned bread from me because you're doing some different techniques that I've now learned from you, and I want to do them. My bread's getting more stretchy. I don't know about you guys, but it's getting nice.
once you
Now, as you,
basics, then you get to kind of make it your own and do things.
yeah, you definitely do. And you'll find if you kind of go down the rabbit hole of like falling in love with doing this, you can go on Amazon if you just search for sourdough bread, all kinds of good stuff. It's going to come up. I wouldn't go out and buy just everything you see though. This is one thing that I do find helpful that I like. I think they call it a banneton. You can get a round one like this, or you can get an oval shape. But this I use rice. I saw somebody said something about rice flour. It's easy to make rice flour. You just put it in the coffee grinder or your Vitamix. You put rice in there and just run it, and now you have rice flour. Okay, it's just rice that's ground up. Yeah, there you go. I saw somebody's head explode just now. And if you use that, or even I'll just put regular flour in here sometimes, and then put it in and let it rise up for a couple hours. Now, like um, Rhianna said, Rhianna goes right to the oven from here. I do another 2-hour rise. Okay, so you'll see that in my instructions. After the shaping, I let it rise for another 2 hours, and then we do something called scoring, which was in the terminology, but I didn't mention it. I don't know where mine is right now, but if you have a little razor blade, you just go and you do about a 1/4 inch deep cut across the whole loaf, like so. And now, if you want to, you can go on YouTube and you can learn how to make little shapes and like little leaves and beautiful pictures and all that stuff. I've even done it where I can't find my razor blade, so I'll just take a pair of scissors like this, and I just cut it like this down the middle, and it gives kind of a cool pattern, and it comes out great.
Can you?
Okay, and you just want to have something like that because as this bakes, it's going to expand in this beautiful giant loaf, and you want it to have a place where it naturally cuts open. So usually you put it like on the lower third over here or something, so it kind of gets what they call the ear coming up. What are you looking for, Rhianna?
Oh,
You
I
wondering about my cuts?
show them again a close up of your scoring.
Okay. All right. Let me do a new score.
Well, and I was going to show this to them This is what I ordered from Amazon for, I don't know,
Yeah.
$5 or something like that. Something really cheap. And it comes with some extra blades or whatever. But this gives me a pretty good, trying to figure it. Yeah, there you go. A pretty good cut
Right.
in scoring. Um,
You want it to be really sharp.
and it's
And
pretty
it's nice if you have it really sharp. It's not, you see how much it's splitting open already? I
and
mean,
here
it naturally will just start splitting open, but a nice sharp one will give you a better cut and a
and
better result.
it cuts easier if the dough is cold. So
Oh
sometimes
yeah.
if you're cold proofing, perfect. You take it out of the fridge after you're done with your day or 2 days worth of cold proofing, and it will just score so nicely for you. If you're going to decide to bake right after you've done with your last envelope fold or with your mix-ins or whatever, you're not going to cold proof, then what I would recommend is you throw it in the freezer maybe for 30 minutes while your Dutch oven is preheating, and then you score it because it'll be a lot easier getting with that coldness on the dough. It'll be a lot easier to score. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Show you guys mine that I just took out of the oven. Can you
Ooh,
Oh
put
yeah.
a little
A
bit.
little closer.
or
No,
closer?
close to the
I
camera.
need to take the, or you know what? I need to take the blur off. But
Yeah, take the blur off.
I sprinkled sea salt on mine on the top. I'm going to get rid of blur in my background. Okay, so now, but so it's pretty. But Rihanna, I scored mine when it was just room temp, and so that's going to really help the scoring to make it cold.
It does.
Good
Yeah.
pro tip. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's definitely a pro tip. And
But
if
I
you
did
don't, go ahead.
well, and I made this one with, I do 500 grams of flour and I did 300 white, 100 rye, and 100 wheat.
Okay.
And then I
Okay.
sprinkled sea salt, like a fir or rosemary sea salt on top. That it's just,
Beautiful. I bet it smells great.
yeah, it does smell
It
good, doesn't it?
does.
Yeah.
Thank
All
you.
right, so we've
Oh,
scored.
ooh,
And again, I let mine rise up in this, and then we get ready to bake. So we preheat the oven. I do 450 degrees. And if you put like a baking tray on the shelf below the shelf you're going to put your pan in, that keeps it from burning on the bottom of your bread. Took me a while to figure that out. That helps a lot. But so after leaving in this for a couple hours, it's going to get nice and puffy. And then I would either use parchment paper to take it out and then put it in the Dutch oven, or I think this is another great thing to get on Amazon. It's called a bread strap. And you'll see it if you just search sourdough. But look at this, because I don't know about you, but there's something about handling a 500-degree thing that I don't really want to touch it too much. So this lets you pull it right out of your Dutch oven, and it's really nice. It's one of those silicone type things, baking mats, called a bread strap. This is by a company called Bread Basics. So I use this every single time. All right. So a Dutch oven, if you don't have a Dutch oven, you're probably going to want to either get one or improvise something, but you're going to want to cover this while you're baking it. So we'll let you figure that out if you don't have a Dutch oven.
You
Maybe
don't have a Dutch
Pyrex.
oven. If you don't have a Dutch oven, you can use if you have two bread pans that are the same size, you can put your dough in, and you have to kind of reform it to fit inside that bread pan, obviously, but you can put it in the one and then put the second over on top of it, and that'll act as your.
There you go.
You can also
Yep.
use what's called a Pullman loaf pan, which I've seen on Amazon. I have one myself, but it has a lid that you pull open and close, and it makes a nice sandwich bread size loaf.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I've seen people making sandwich bread too. So we're going to preheat the oven to 450. I do not preheat my Dutch oven. I like it because then I can handle it, and my bread comes out perfect without preheating. Yeah, how about that? I also know people that don't even preheat the oven before putting their bread in there. They just cook 5 more minutes. But oh, look at that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, this is my Pullman loaf pan, and it comes out so easily. It just
That's
makes
cool.
want that sandwich bread shaped bread.
So we have 500-degree or 450-degree oven. Our bread is scored. We put it in the Dutch oven. We cover it. Oh, before we cover it, we either baptize it with a little water from our hand or I put 2 ice cubes in typically. And that's one of the reasons why we want it covered. With sourdough, we want to have some steam. So we put ice or sprinkle some water on it, cover it, bake it for 40 or 45 minutes. Depending on your oven, you have to figure it out as you go. And then we uncover it after that first baking and bake for an additional 8 to 10 minutes, and that browns it up to the amount that you want. Then you bring it out. Hopefully it comes out of your bread. It's kind of like the better your loaf, if it got really big, sometimes it's a little tough to get it out. That's one of the reasons I like the bread sling too. I mean, if I have this, look how this goes up above. Even if it's in there really tight, I can just boom and pop it out, and then my bread comes right out. And I cool it off on, a bread rack would be good. I use the bottom of my Instant Pot. You know how it has that little rack in there? I just use that rack to cool it off. And you let it cool for maybe 10 minutes, and then you cut it, and you're good to go.
Doug, you mentioned sometimes you might put ice cubes inside your Dutch oven.
Yeah.
Is that what you said? So what, you just like drop them in there?
Yeah, I put the bread in, then I put an ice cube on each side, just
Okay.
over on the edge.
Okay, cool.
So I was actually going to show because that's one of the other things that I will do. Actually, I don't use the pan of water in there at all. I just
Yeah.
highlight. Can you highlight my other camera again?
Yeah.
So I'm just showing you what I would do. I'm not getting ready to bake this yet, but just so I can show you. So this is how I would put. He uses that fun little bread. What do you call it? A bread belt or
Bread sling.
bread sling. I just pick up my
I'm slinging bread, Rhianna.
and set it in there because you can usually use your parchment paper, bake it in there, and
Yeah.
get my cubes of ice, and I would just lift up each corner of my parchment paper and throw things of ice in there, and I never get a burnt bottom like that.
Oh, nice. That's nice.
That creates that steam that Doug is talking about, and then just put it in like this. I do preheat my Dutch oven first, so make sure if you do it that way, you always want to make sure that you have you don't grab the hot lid.
Yeah.
But that's what he was saying. Like that's why he doesn't like to do it because he doesn't want to burn his hand on accident. So
No.
yeah, so that works too. But the ice cube trick is a good trick to make sure you don't have a burnt bottom.
Yeah, for the first year or two, actually, I just did the baptism, they call it, where you put your hand under the sink and then just kind of sprinkle it on. I did two baptisms, but the ice is just consistent and it's to me, it's easier. My hand's not too wet. And that's it. Let's take some questions of anybody that needs clarification on any of the steps. I know people are probably a little nervous.
Yeah, well,
it's gonna be fine.
I get the most confused about feeding it. So I've got a jar of mother starter. It smells great. It's bubbly. I fed it this morning. It doubled. I left it out on my counter all day. So if I'm not going to bake bread tomorrow, I can just put it back in my refrigerator with the lid on it. And then before the next time before I bake bread, I take out however much I want. If I'm going to bake 3 loaves, I'll take out more. And then I just throw the rest away.
No, you want to put your mother back, feed it and put it back in the fridge.
So how much do I feed this whole big thing?
Well, I mean, I figure for me, first of all, I wouldn't keep that much going unless I have like 10 people coming over this week,
Okay.
I would try to get it down to a small amount.
Okay.
But when you put it in the refrigerator, if you're storing it in the refrigerator, you only need to feed it like once every week or two.
Okay.
If it's on your counter, you need to feed it every single day.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're going to get a science experiment going. And when you start to see like water liquid on the top, you can mix it back in. If you start to see a little black sludge, people say you can mix it in. That grosses me out. I scoop it off and throw it away.
Okay.
If it starts to get weird colors, then I think you might have lost your mother.
Okay.
So every day if you're not going to bake bread soon, though, you put it in the refrigerator and you only have to feed it once a week. I go once every 2 weeks even.
Okay. So for this, I'll either let it move down. I'll use it, bake some bread, and then just keep a smaller amount going.
Yeah, I have no events coming up real soon, and mine's all the way up to here on a 32-ounce bottle, and the bottle's real dirty. So I'll probably discard about half of this, start a new bottle. I like bottles, by the way, that have the flat side. I mean, I use the mother of all mothers in the back of the fridge. I'll show you her. Ah, here she comes. So this is a really big 64-ounce jar,
Okay.
and it's only about this full.
Okay.
And I might as well, Sharon, did you feed the giant one? No. It's easy to forget about it back there, you know?
Do you have
Okay. So
do you have a name for her, Doug?
No.
Insensitive.
so you just eyeballed that. You put approximately,
A quarter, but it was a heaping quarter. And then I'm
okay.
gonna eyeball this too with the water.
Okay.
And that's
And
the one you're
then
keeping in the fridge because you're not going to bake from that soon, right?
right. And like I have all this extra. So now that I realize I have all this, I'm probably just gonna actually discard all this. I could probably make 4 more loaves with that. So
Well,
I mean, if we were running a commercial bakery, we would probably not want to waste, and we would figure out how to not have so much extra.
I will say I'm one of those people who really likes the discard recipes. So I don't have issues most of the time. Like if I'm just not going to bake anything, yeah, I'll just throw her in the fridge, whatever. But like I do like the crackers. To me, it's a healthier cracker,
Really?
healthier snack or whatever to snack on. I've made banana bread. I've with discard. I've made sourdough pretzels. I've made waffles and pancakes and things like that. And so I don't have a hard time with now sometimes I would like this is to me is like this is a good amount just to feed it and then
Yeah,
put her in the fridge if I'm not going to bake or anything. But generally I don't want her going down any much lower than this because then
I
at least
agree.
I'll have something left over or whatever.
Yeah,
But on a day if I know I'm gonna bake, I'm gonna do the quarter or whatever, or eyeball it to where it's nice and thick and chunky and airy and bubbly and all of that stuff. And then use it to bake bread when it's doubled in size and all that stuff is good and active. And then if I'm not gonna use it anymore after that, then I just feed her and put her back in the fridge.
hmm
I don't even keep a whole lot more than this though, Lee. See,
yeah.
mm,
One of my
So,
friends told me that she was putting her discard down the kitchen sink.
oh
And
no.
that was Ellie, Rihanna. And so the plumber had to come and because this stuff is like putting cement down. So everybody here, make sure you clean your bowl out. Now I'm like obsessive about using, cleaning my hand, the big chunks. So just
Yeah,
an FYI if there are any newbies here.
never in your sink. Yeah, because
Just yeah,
it will become like brick and mortar in your pipes.
yeah. It's like making paper mache back in middle school.
So, uh,
go
I
ahead,
have,
Darlene. Go
I
ahead.
have a question. Now, do you need to go back and dehydrate the mother? And if so, do you use a dehydration or what?
You can do the dehydrate. Doug, I'll let you answer this actually.
Yeah, I mean, I do it because I send it out to people when I'm doing workshops, and so that I can mail it. But there's not a real reason that I'm aware of to dehydrate
Okay,
it.
Yeah.
great.
And
Thank you.
speaking of the dehydrated mother, so I obviously this is what I got. I think I got it from the Christoffersons. How much of this do I need to put in as I start? I was thinking about using a third of this. Do you understand what I'm asking? Like,
I would do hold it in your hand so I can see how big it is. Like
like
your hand on. Oh yeah, I'd put at least half of that and to do like a quarter cup of water and let it get thick, and then just feed it normal.
okay, and then I just keep
That way
the
you have a backup. Just keep half as a
yeah,
backup, maybe.
yeah, because I'm still since it'll be my first time, I didn't want to use it all.
Yeah,
Can you see
and
that?
then you're gonna have to feed it for like 4 days or so to
Okay,
really get it going good.
Once a day or twice a day, you think?
You can do once a day, but twice a day is going to get it ready faster,
Faster?
but you got to let
Okay.
it go up. And then as it doubles in size, it'll come back down. That's when it's going back dormant and it's ready for more food.
So she'll let you know when she's
Oh,
hungry.
yeah. She talks to you. You just got to know her language. You got to know her language.
Oh,
Keep your mother happy.
yes, always.
Always.
Happy and warm. That's what I think. We keep us happy and warm.
There you go. All
So
right, guys. Well, thanks
question.
for coming. Oh, go ahead, Debbie.
I just want to know again, how much did you say the dehydrated? So I have some dehydrated that I literally just take the stuff off my spatula when it dries instead of throwing it in the garbage or off the in the sink or anything. And I just let it do that. But so how much of that would you use? Just is that just so you start your mother? Is that how you do it? I'm a little
Well, you would
confused.
only want to do that if you didn't have. I mean, I've created a lot of dehydrated flakes for
Mhm.
people, but I've never dehydrated it for my own purpose. I have a kind of a stash of it in little baggies. It looks like I'm a drug dealer or something, but I don't find a reason why I would want to rehydrate them. I just keep this. I've never killed her all the way though. If so, I know that I do have that, so I don't have to order it again from San Francisco. That I would just rehydrate it if I had to, but
I was thinking
there's
if
no
you were
real reason.
traveling, it would be handy to have.
Yeah, it's nice to have too. So like once you learn this and you go to visit your friend or your sister or your brother or whoever, you just bring a little bit of extra and spread the love. But you could still travel with a regular, unless you're flying. I wouldn't fly with it, I guess. Yeah, so I guess there's a reason to have it. There you go. Go ahead, Debbie.
So Doug, on your Dutch oven, yours is metal. Can I use a ceramic one?
What do you mean metal?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think they're all metal. It's just it's covered with something.
Ceramic. It's ceramic on the inside.
Oh, no, I mean,
Yeah.
I have one from Pampered Chef that it'll go on a base.
No, ceramic is
Acts
good.
as a crock pot
Yeah.
or,
Okay, yeah, I'm sure it'll work great. Just try it out.
all right.
I just
I
don't
had the
recommend. I don't recommend an aluminum or anything stainless steel because the actual metal will seep into the bread, and so we always recommend like make sure it's ceramic or like the like I said, if
cast
it's
iron.
a loaf pan or something like that.
I don't like and I had, when I first did this, I went and got the cast iron because I thought, oh, that's cool. It's kind of rugged and it's cheaper and everything. Actually, it's not cheaper. You can get these starting at around 50. But I got cast iron, like the Lodge brand and all that. But then if you don't know how to really keep it nice, I started getting rust into my bread and I could taste it. I could taste the iron and the rust. And it's like, I just chucked it. And Sharon got me this for Christmas.
Nice. So the one I've got is made, it's like the pizza stone, only it's glazed on the outside.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah, I mean that's a little porous. I mean, just make sure you're
It's
using
glazed
your
on the inside too.
oh, it's glazed on the inside. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
glazed on the inside and the outside.
Yeah,
But it
I'm sure it's
holds,
gonna be great.
okay. All right. Just want to make sure.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Can I ask a discard question?
Yeah.
When you cook with it, so I'm gluten intolerant, and so I've been playing with a combination of feeding my starter regular flour, and then I use a gluten-free flour to bake when I make the bread itself. But I don't, the starter is all, and so I'm trying to figure, somebody had said that if I let it ferment for over 24 hours, it eats most of the gluten. I know it's not gluten-free, but I'm working on trying to get myself out of that, which
Mm-hmm.
is eating sourdough. So does anybody know any rules? Like if I'm making, let's say, pancakes or brownies or whatever, if I mix it and then let it sit in the fridge and then bake it the next in 24 hours, does that do anything? I mean, does
I
anybody?
don't know, honestly.
I don't either. That's why I'm just
I'd be curious if you use more even regular flour. Have you tried that to see how you react? Or it was a
I
problem?
did. Actually, I did. I was doing it exclusively gluten-free, except for the starter. And this last loaf, I did out of 440 grams, I did 40 grams of regular flour and then the rest gluten-free. And I did okay. So I may try that for a while. I'm just wondering what to do with all this discard because I have jars of it, that I feed. It's like I guess I'm supposed to just pitch it or
I mean, and I know that it feels horrible, like throwing it away because you feel like it's just throwing away flour. But if you're not going to use it, then that's what I said. Like, put it in your fridge and don't worry about trying to do a bunch of
yeah.
feeding it all the time because you will waste it. You will waste a lot of it over time.
Yeah.
You're just always trying to keep it out and you're not really using it. But if you're going to use it, I so there's some more research to be done on this, I will say, but there is a lot of that gluten is being broken down because of the bacteria. And so I don't ever want to tell anybody it makes it gluten free, but I do, but there is a lot of that gluten that's essentially, being eradicated because of the fact that you've got all that bacteria growing the bread. So I've heard that if you cold proof it, again, that's more fermentation that's happening over a longer period of time. So keeping it in the fridge for a day or two might be better than if you just were to do like the 12 to 15 hour, process where you're just letting it cold or, bulk ferment on the counter and then, fold it and then put it in the oven and cook it right away. So it's something you can toy with maybe, Lynette, and just see what seems to work best. And then, like I said, there's some more research to be done probably on that for sure, because I don't want to tell you for sure, one way or, have your gut all jacked up. But I do know that
Yeah.
also a lot of people who are gluten intolerant or celiac, they do better with the sourdough version of bread because there is so much of that gluten that's being broken down.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
The
do wait over 24
And
hours
you-
before I bake my bread. I do cold proof it for at least that long.
Lynette, the other thing you could try, my son and his wife have Lyme's disease, so I buy this flour that's actually from Europe because it's not
Oh,
sprayed with the Roundup, and in the US all our grains are sprayed with Roundup. He makes pasta out of this and I make the bread out of it and he doesn't have
great
any.
brand.
Really? Okay. Because I
Yeah,
found they're
and it's
gluten.
not that expensive. I mean, this was $4, I think, and I ordered 8 things. If I remember, I'll try to look and see where I ordered it from.
Hmm.
But and they didn't charge shipping because I ordered that many.
Uh,
I'm going to
well, I
use it.
actually use their gluten-free flour, that same brand.
Okay, well,
So, but that's
you're
good to know that your son is doing better, and maybe that's so. Yeah, I can check that out. But I do use an heirloom flour to feed my starter,
good.
and so
Anybody know about somebody asked me today what is the purine content of sourdough because they have kidney issues. So I was just wondering if
I'll be
anyone.
honest with you. I keep it so simple. I don't know and I'm a guy that I love learning all that stuff. I love science. I love technology. But when it comes to sourdough, I just want to make an easy bread and make it. And I don't know any of the gluten information or any of those other things.
I don't know
No.
anything about that either, like Lisa. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
okay, thank you. Oh, and you said my name right. Whoa, girlfriend, thank you.
I almost wanted to call you after Manelli. I almost wanted to say Liza, but
Hey,
I caught
I
myself.
will say this,
Thank you.
for those of you that if you want to dig deeper and you want to ask certain questions or just go to the next level, I think the Simply Sourdough group is, I mean, that group drives me crazy. But I think some of you guys, it sounds like you might like some of that stuff, and like go in there and like you can talk all kinds of stuff. They're talking about their hydration levels and their 111s and their 151s. I don't know whatever. Well, hey, whatever makes you happy, let's just have fun and eat some good food and it's a little bit healthier. So it makes me happy.
This has been great.
Well, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. And
Thanks for coming,
yeah,
everybody.
thanks
you.
for coming on
Thank
and you
you.
guys have a
Thanks
great
for
night.
allowing us to be here.
Yes.
This was
You got it.
awesome, guys. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Yes.
Will you post this, Doug? Or
What,
because
the
I missed
video?
the beginning. I've been really bad this week on getting to my meetings.
I will upload this and make a YouTube link out of it and make sure Doug gets it so he can share it with
Okay, yeah, and I'll share with you on the Power Hour on Monday
any
or
of
Tuesday.
you who know how to contact me. If you just let me know. I know, Darlene, you want it because you're the one that asked about it. Give me a quick text and I'll make sure you get it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Rhianna and Doug. This was
Thank
great.
you. This was great,
All
guys.
right,
Good
great
night.
job, Rhianna. We'll see you. Good night.
Bon appetit.
Good night. Bye bye.